And yeah, big Drake fans.
I actually don't mind Drake, to be fair. There you go.
I'll put my hands up, John. I don't know anything these guys
You
have
would
done.
definitely know. You'd definitely know his songs if I come on, Steve.
When I sent these topics over to you, I had to say right away, third one is quite interesting because you must have been
I love The Weeknd as well, by the way.
But you must have been thinking, Stephen sent it over by mistake. What the fuck does he know about? But it's an actual topic.
I've known about The
in.
Weeknd for about fucking 7-8 years now.
John, I'm glad you said it because I was like, how do you even say this name? Is it Weeknd?
Well, he's changed it now. He's actually taken on his actual real name now. His last sort of live show, I think he changed it. He used to say something about I'm The Weeknd. He changed it to his actual real name.
I'm The Weeknd. Woo!
He's brilliant. The Weeknd's great, man. But the same age as me. Fucking brilliant geezer.
Yeah.
Brilliant performer. Does a lot for charity. And he's got this sort of 80s vibe going on with his songs.
Does
incredible
a lot of work for charity. He doesn't like to talk about it. Pop pickers. Anyway.
You've heard The Weeknd, haven't you? You've heard some of his songs.
Nope.
I can feel my face.
John, I'm nearly 50.
But I love it.
I'll be honest with you, I don't
You've
really
never
listen.
heard Save Your Tears for Another Day. Save your tears for another day.
Nope.
Wow. The other one, Blinded by the Lights.
I only know one version of Blinded by the Lights. It wasn't that version.
Oh, The Weeknd's great.
Nah, I'm stuck in the past, John. I'm not going to change now. I like
Drake,
my old
Hotline
music.
Bling.
No.
I know when that hotline blinks. I know.
John, I would walk by these two guys in the street and I wouldn't even know who they were. I wouldn't know who they were. I'd say they're dapper guys.
Oh, they are, man. Yeah.
But I don't know who you are.
Drake's Canadian, I think. I think he's from Canada. I know he's a big Raptors fan because they won, I think, the NBA championships a couple of years ago when he was front and centre.
Yeah.
And obviously The Weeknd, I'm not entirely sure where he's from in America, but I know he's American.
It's funny, the person that wrote this article is called Jem Aswad. I remember a band called Aswad from the 1980s. Don't turn around.
What's his name again?
But,
The Weeknd. He's got a weird name.
It probably is in there somewhere, John. It probably is in there somewhere.
He's got a
Is that
crazy...
maybe out there if you scroll down? The social media post that was just there? No.
I'll find it.
John, I'm going to just sort of talk about what we're actually going to be talking about because obviously we're talking about these two artists. We're talking about
Able Tesfaye.
We're talking about obviously AI generated Drake and Weeknd song "Heart on My Sleeve" is not eligible for a Grammy. Recording Academy chief clarifies. Not exactly, John. But we've been talking about AI with the Beatles over the past few months and people's confusion with the usage of AI. In terms of the Beatles, it's slightly different because it's removing static from a John Lennon track to clean it up. And that's as far as the AI goes. Everything else is from previous recordings, new recordings. And the only other AI sort of tech they're using is to de-age Paul McCartney's voice. Yeah. And for that, I accept it. It's the best they can do in a sort of bad situation, a sad situation, if you like. But in terms of this, John, this is totally different. This is AI full max, if you like. And the baffling...
Full measure.
Legalities around Heart on My Sleeve, the song that uses
I've not heard this. I actually want to hear it now.
Generated renditions of vocals by Drake, and The Weeknd continued on Friday as Recording Academy chief Harvey Mason Jr. posted a video insisting that the song is not eligible for a Grammy Award, even though the New York Times reported earlier in the week that he said it is. Mason said in the article, as far as the creative side, Heart on My Sleeve is absolutely eligible for a Grammy because it was written by a human. However, a rep for the Recording Academy noted to Variety on Friday that the Times did not misreport anything. Rather, what Mason said next was omitted from multiple articles reporting the news.
It from a certain point. It was true from a certain point. Yeah, they've cut off
half the conversation here. So he did add that the Academy would also look at whether the song was commercially available, with Grammy rules stating that a track must have general distribution, meaning the broad release of a recording available nationwide via brick and mortar stores, third-party online retailers and or streaming services. Thus, the song is not eligible because it is not commercially available. It was removed from the streaming services after legal action by Universal Music Group, the company that releases Drake and The Weeknd's music. I am sorry, but I have to clear up some of this bad and really inaccurate information that's starting to float around, Mason said in Friday's video. Heart on My Sleeve is not eligible for Grammy consideration. Let me be extra clear. Even though it was written by a human creator, the vocals were not legally obtained. The vocals were not cleared by the label or the artist, and the song is not commercially available, and because of that, it's not eligible. John, this is, I mean, it's
the most common sense thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's opening a can of worms, and this is the worry between AI and chat, GPT, etc., is that it's taking that human element out of it, and they have to, it's at some point there's going to be a blurring of the lines in terms of things coming out and how they're distributed. At the moment, they're saying it's not because of obviously the way this song's been distributed and not getting the permission, obviously, of the record labels, ownership
the
over
artists,
the vocals. Yeah, exactly. But at some point, somewhere down the line, AI will be used and all these things will tick the boxes. And then does it become eligible for a Grammy? You know, something that's, the words are written by a human, but the actual song, the actual vocals, what you're hearing is what counts in my book. Because you could actually just do that with any old words, couldn't you? And just sort of add the voice and it.
Well, this is interesting what he's saying here. This Mason guy, he further says to Variety, what we intended to say was that material using AI can be submitted, but the human portion of the composition or the performance is the only portion that can be awarded or considered for a Grammy Award. So if an AI modelling system or app built a track, wrote lyrics and a melody, that would not be eligible for a composition. But if a human writes a track and AI is used to voice model or create a new voice or use somebody else's voice, the performance would not be eligible, but the writing of a track and the lyric on
the writing, because that's human. Yeah,
that is the sort of that's the meat and bones of the actual creation, the actual writing. But Stephen, it's not a direction I want to see us going down, because the actual performance is a huge part of it as well. You can see the writing, and it is there. Bob Dylan's won a Nobel Peace Prize, or a Nobel Prize, not Peace Prize. He's won a Nobel Prize for literature because of his writing ability. So it's so important, the writing. But then the performance as well. You lose the human touch. An AI can't sing like Adele sang at the fucking Brits or whatever it was 10 years ago, and she was breaking down crying during the performance. They can't sing like Macca and Lennon sung back in the day. Can't sing like Roy Orbison. Can't sing like Michael Jackson. I was listening to Say 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 the other day. What a fucking song, man.
You also get the sort of collaboration.
Can't sing like fucking The Weeknd.
Yeah, but if you think about collaborators like is it Bernie Taupin and Elton John, where Bernie I'm sure that's his name, isn't it? He writes the lyrics.
Yeah.
And Elton will add the music to the lyrics and sing those lyrics.
Yeah.
In those instances, those guys work very close together over nearly 6 decades. They know each other.
Is that the Scottish guy?
I don't know. You might have to. Am I making a buzz up here? That's a Scottish saying, by the way. Bernie Taupin. I'm sure that's his name. But in terms of that, there's something very unique and something special about. You mentioned Dylan, John.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dylan and the fact that when you're sitting listening to him, whether it be live or a recording, those words came from his head. He's singing them, and that's what makes it special. In terms of the likes of Elton John and Bernie Taupin, it's still similar because the two of them are collaborating together. And obviously the ultimate one is Lennon McCartney, in our opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, that they knew each other well enough. They knew how to write songs with meaning. They knew how to write songs with heart, and that's a big part of music. It's a big part of music for most of us.
And you referenced it earlier, Stephen, it couldn't get much worse. That's an example of that collaboration.
Yeah.
Macca brings a song, it's getting better all the time. Lennon chips in with it couldn't get much worse. That's a spontaneous human moment. AI will never. I mean, maybe at some point it will, when it reaches general intelligence level.
John, we've watched.
But we're nowhere near that just now, I hope.
We've listened.
I was
going to say we've watched. It's listening because it's music. We've listened to a lot of AI Beatles stuff, and none of it connects with us, because I don't know about you, John, but when I'm listening to a song by the Beatles, for instance, I'm thinking, I wonder what they were doing that day. I wonder how, what take this is from, and what were they thinking, what were they feeling when they were doing that. But just hearing Macca's voice and that little bit breaking, what was he thinking at that moment? These things are all missed in AI. There's no emotion in them, as well as they can replicate, the human voice. It's almost like the uncanny valley, they call it. Humans cannot get past that in visuals, and they'll certainly not get past it in sound either.
Well, Stephen, you reference the Weeknd in this topic. He's another prime example. This guy's singing about relationship issues, going through breakups, having to see the person, how that's impacting on him. He's wrote the song, but he's also lived the experience, and he's then imparting that in the performance. An AI can't live that experience because it's unable to connect with other living beings and have those thoughts, feelings, emotions. It therefore can't mine off of that as an experience and deliver that as an emotion in the performance. The Weeknd has lived that experience. It's real to him in his life, and that's what makes the likes of the Beatles, Oasis, bands like that, Blur, R.E.M., all the, I think, A Strange Currencies. You can feel that. I don't know what the fuck that song's about, but you can hear it in his voice when he's singing it. It means something to him.
Yeah.
AI will never be able to replicate that.
I don't know about you, but when I listen to She's Leaving Home, there's something really emotional about that.
Yeah.
I mean, see, by the you try and sing along with it, you start getting choked up because it's like
he's telling a story, and it's a human story.
And it happens. What happens in that song happens in real life as well.
And it's based off a real story.
Yeah, it's incredible. And harmonies as well, John.
And that's why I'll never get the criticism of Paul McCartney, even from his own band members. He's saying, it's getting late, it's warm, and I've had a couple of beers.